Sportin beers. So number 36. It's been a day. This is Saturday, October 15th, 2022.
With a D. Saturday with a D.
Yeah. It's been an emotional day.
It's been crazy
for a lot of people.
True.
For various reasons. So I guess
36.
It's episode 36.
I failed again. I forgot to.
Yeah, man, things have been going off today. Like there was no time in the day to be.
Can you even think of a 36?
Looking up stuff. I can't think of a 36. But it is 10 o'clock Central Time on Saturday.
Yeah, my watch just told me. It was like ding ding.
We normally record at like 7:30 or 8 o'clock, but there was a certain baseball game that went 6 hours and 22 minutes involving yours truly's team. So we had to wait.
Yep. Yeah, I understand.
Because I would not have been able to do a coherent podcast, like even semi-coherent podcast while the Astros were playing.
Especially with
an 18 game like that. Game.
So I understand because
I guess it's
30.
It's episode 36 because it was 36 half innings of baseball that the Astros and Mariners played today.
Oh goodness, dude, that was insane.
Yeah.
It honestly almost made me forget what happened before that in baseball.
I know everything that happened earlier today feels like it was last week.
I know. I'm honestly glad that I did end up writing down a few things from the early games, because if not, I would struggle to try and remember. I mean, it's been a long day, an exhausting day.
Yeah.
So right now I've got the Guardians Yankees game on. It is 5-3 in the bottom of the ninth, first and third, one out, with Rosario up to bat. So we'll see what happens there. And then I also have the Dodgers Padres.
Yep. That one's
nothing
early.
At the top of the third. Yep, still early. Musgrove looks like he's feeling pretty good so far. And then I also have the USC Utah game, which is pretty close late.
Yeah, I've just got the two games on tonight. I've got both baseball games on. Don't have any football games on right now. I kind of lost track of what was going on with football as the day kind of went on and on and on.
Yes, because baseball's a marathon, but it's supposed to be a marathon season,
right?
Not a marathon game.
Yeah, I saw a tweet that I enjoyed. More so
after in the Guardians game 5-4.
More so after the game is over, I enjoy it. But the tweet was it looks like the Mariners, or I truly believe the Mariners are trying to make up for 20 years of not making the postseason tonight.
Yeah, so if you don't know, which would be crazy at this point, but we had an 18-inning game between the Mariners and Astros just end shortly ago. I know you basically just said that's why we're running late. It just was so long. So one of my favorite things, I saw a tweet that was hilarious. Well, first I saw somebody ask, how long ago did they stop serving alcohol at this game? And I said probably long enough
the seventh
for
inning
hangovers. Well, yeah, I knew that. It's like the seventh inning stretch, but I was like probably long enough for hangovers to already be kicking in for some people because it was bizarre. Let's see. Dang it.
Yeah, this game was absolutely wild. It set a postseason record for strikeouts in a game. It ties the major league record for longest game in a postseason, which is the Game 2 in 2018 of the World Series between the Red Sox and Dodgers, and Game 4 in 2005 of the National League Division Series, which was the Braves and Astros.
Yeah, and we just had last weekend the longest game in postseason history to go 0-0, and then they topped it.
That record didn't last very long.
That record's gonna last. I mean, I don't see that getting beaten for a long time. That in today's offensive baseball, like it just felt like once there was a groove, it was like batters weren't even getting on really. I mean, there were from time to time, but dude. But one of my favorite tweets, it was
bases loaded, Carabas. 1 out for the DNs.
Ooh, all right.
So that game's getting spicy.
It is. This is gonna be fun. So Jared Carabas, I will have you know that Mariners fans have been standing on their feet for this entire game. That's now in the 11th inning, which obviously went even further. But someone in my section sat down and got yelled at. "You've had the last 20 years to sit," was the quote. I love that. I wonder if they all, I mean, it seemed like they all kept standing the whole 18. That place was rocking.
Yeah, it had its moments. Obviously, they were getting tired, understandably so. I'm tired, and I was sitting in my desk chair.
I was in a
throughout the game.
And I'm tired.
And yeah, it's I can't imagine. You know who I think it is just an absolute warrior in this game? Cal Raleigh. Cal Raleigh, the catcher for the Mariners, caught all 18 innings.
Did he really?
He did. The Astros had 2 catchers play because Vasquez pinch hit for Maldonado in the 7th and then caught the rest of the game. So the catcher for the Astros that did not start caught 11 innings.
More. No, that's baller. The only time I ever got 18 innings in a day was like Mexican League when we had no
right. We do a doubleheader and there was no other catcher.
Yeah, dude.
There was like 500 pitches in this game.
Like you said, they set the postseason record for strikeouts, 42 combined, 22 by the Astros, 20 by the Mariners.
And I just want to say, Luis Garcia, the pitcher that finished the game for the Astros, I think he threw 6 innings.
Something like that. Yeah, dude.
Like, he's an absolute legend, and I will never say anything bad about him, and I will take no Luis Garcia slander, ever. I will fight somebody if they start talking shit about Luis Garcia.
I don't think this is necessarily slander, but somebody said, "Does he do the electric slide before every pitch?"
Yes.
I just loved how they put it that way. I mean, I know he does that, but
it's awesome. It's awesome. You don't see that. I mean, you don't see guys doing that anymore.
No. And my rookie of the year for the American League pick, which I don't think is probably going to be the one now. But
no, it's going to be Julio Rodriguez.
Yeah, but comes through clutch, hits a home run. I mean, finally somebody made a mistake over the plate, and there it was.
You know, that game and just the lack of offense, it trained me to believe that nothing good offensively could happen, to the point that when he hit that ball, my first thought was maybe that'll fall in for a double. Not like, you know, it has a shot to be out, until I saw the way that Julio Rodriguez was running after it in center field. And I was like, oh, that might go out. Go ball, go.
And it did, dude.
And it did.
Kept going. Dodgers
My
just scored
first
a couple.
thought was just maybe it'll fall in for a double. That's how much that game just like alters your perception of what guys can do on a baseball field.
Oh, big time, because dude, it was great to watch as a catcher pitcher, but I know that nobody else was enjoying that too much I mean,
I don't know if that
starts becoming history, people enjoy it, but
right,
dude,
it was the baseball version of watching Iowa.
Yeah, I can see that.
I don't know if it was the best baseball game I've ever watched or the worst baseball game that I've ever watched. And I think it's both.
And that can happen sometimes. I mean, it just goes both ways a little bit.
I really do feel for the Mariners though. So the Astros are going to the ALCS for the 6th year in a row. I feel really bad.
Record, right?
I think it's a baseball record, 6th in a row. I don't think anybody's ever made it 6 in a row. But I really, really feel for the Mariners. They fought their hearts out in this series.
And for it to be
it's a sweep
walk off.
It's a sweep, but it is the closest sweep that anybody has ever played. The final score for the series as a whole was 13.
Guardians win. Walk off single. Oscar Gonzalez. He does it again. He does it again. Wow.
Okay, I'm just gonna finish my thought real quick.
Okay, sorry.
And then we're gonna talk about this game a little bit.
Okay.
And kind of big picture stuff. But the final score for the 3 games was Astros 13, Mariners 9.
Yeah, I mean, it was really close. Like I said, take away that walk-off in game 1, and they win game 1, who knows what happens, you know?
Yeah.
And then, like, a game like tonight could have definitely gone either way. Julio Rodriguez could have damn near been the one that just hit the home run in the bottom, and then boom, game over. So
you got to get all 27 outs though, or sometimes 54. But who's counting?
Oscar Gonzalez becoming Mr. Postseason right now. The guy that ends the marathon game last weekend with a solo shot walk-off now walks off against the Yankees to take a 2-1 lead.
Yep. And they got game 4 tomorrow.
Wow. Dude. Baseball.
So I had something in my head and then it just like fluttered away.
Okay, well, we can discuss the fact that Aaron Judge before tonight was 0 for 8 with 7 strikeouts,
which is less than ideal.
Right. And the thing that
he did hit a home run tonight.
He did. A big one, which, I mean, doesn't
it was
matter
big at the time
point anymore. Yeah, it was big at the time. Dude, wow. Holy shit.
So
we've seen some crazy endings. Yep, 1 game away from going
from a trip to
meet
Houston.
The Astros. Yep.
Wow.
Dude.
So I came across a stat that was kind of interesting earlier this week. I actually ended up looking it up myself, but the Mariners are the 16th different team that the Astros have faced in a postseason series, which seems like a lot. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to look and see who has the most. It's probably the Yankees, who has faced the most teams. The Yankees have actually played 25 out of the other 29 teams in a postseason series.
Damn.
You want to try and guess who the other teams are?
That they haven't played?
That they have not played in a postseason series.
The Yankees.
The Yankees.
Is that what you said?
Yeah. There's 4 teams that they have not played. There's 2 National League teams, 2 American League teams. But they've not played in a playoff series.
Somehow, some way. No, that's not. I'm gonna have to go with the Padres.
They played the Padres in '98.
Okay. Oh dang, yeah. I was just watching the Padres and Dodgers. Try to throw out a random one.
Right.
Dang man, that's a tough guess. Miami.
03.
Oh, of course. Well, they were technically Florida at the time.
Right. I'll give you the divisions. So 1 is the National League West. The Rockies. 1 is the American League East.
I wanted to say Baltimore, but there's no way.
They've played Baltimore.
So Tampa, no.
They played Tampa Bay. Played Tampa Bay a couple of years ago.
Oh, then it has to be Toronto.
Yep.
Really?
They've never played the Blue Jays.
Wow.
And then the other teams that they have not played is actually I may not remember the other teams.
National League. You already told me the National League West, which was the Rockies.
Yeah.
And then
you
said so Rockies, Blue Jays.
There's a National League East team that they've not played.
Phillies.
They played the Phillies. Played Phillies in 09.
Oh yeah. I'm just throwing out.
Yeah, it's the other National League team's the Nationals, and then the other American League team. The other American League team, I think. No, I don't remember who the other American League team is, but there's one other American League team. It's American League Central team.
Okay,
but it's not the process of elimination. It's not the Royals. It's not the Guardians, Indians. It's not the Tigers. It's not the Twins. The White Sox.
So it'd have to be the White Sox.
Yeah, the White Sox have never played. Anyway, we can move on now.
That's crazy. That's crazy that they've played all but 2 National League teams.
Yeah,
in the World Series.
Now, they didn't. There's one National League team they did not play in the World Series. They played in the American League Championship Series, and that is the Brewers.
Oh.
The Brewers were an American League team until the late 90s.
Till the 98 expansion?
Yeah. 90.
I think it was 98.
98. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah,
97, 98. One of those two.
Diamondbacks and
Rays.
Nope. Rays, that's right. Yeah. And was that the same year that the Expos became the Nationals?
That was 04.
Oh, okay, never mind.
It's time to take a. All right, so scale of 1 to 10. How surprised are you that the Guardians are up 2-1?
Going into this series?
Yeah, going into the series, I told you that they're up 2-1. How shocked would you have been? So I think it's about a 6.
I would say like 7. Okay. Pretty shocked.
Kind of in the same range.
Yeah, if you would have told me after game 1 or game 2, I don't know.
Game 1.
I mean after game, but like you definitely can't count them out. I mean, it definitely ain't over. But I am surprised that they are up 2-1. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, any team that has pitching, you're always going to have a shot if you have good pitching, and they do have good pitching.
Yep.
And you get some timely hits in there, and you can win some ball games.
Yep.
That's how the Giants won the World Series 3 times in 5 years. Is they never had a great offense. They had 1 or 2 really good hitters and a bunch of guys. They play defense. They pitch really well, and they have different guys that'll show up different nights.
You want to know who you just described? This year's Cleveland Guardians.
Basically,
exactly. Yeah, a couple really good hitters, others that are not bad, but they play really good defense. They pitch really well, and they get those timely hits, just like they just did tonight. 3 runs in the 9th to take the win. Huge.
Yeah. So we got to talk about it at some point.
Yep. Speaking of a team that actually does have a pretty good offense from top to bottom, it seems. The Phillies are here to play.
That lineup is relentless. When they get going, it's relentless.
Bryce Harper was 8 for 16.
It's hard to win when you can't get Bryce Harper.
Yeah, if you don't have an 8 for 16 guy on your side, then that's not good. Especially, it's tough, man. They got a really good meaty heart of the lineup where you can't take any guys for granted in that lineup, and they played really well. The Braves couldn't hit. They
Yeah.
couldn't hit with runners in scoring position, and couldn't capitalize on mistakes, the very few mistakes that the Phillies would make.
Right.
And the Phillies definitely capitalized on quite a few mistake pitches, and they were hitting the ball all over the place. So
I was texting you about this last night, and like I really do feel like they should have brought back Freed on short rest. As much as Charlie Morton has been a big game pitcher in his career, and he's been really good when the moments are the brightest, he had just I think I looked it up, and he had like a 5.30 ERA over his last like 7 or 8 starts heading into the postseason. And I just felt like, you're down 2-1. You got to throw your best guy that you can possibly throw. And to me, that would have been
I
Free.
kind of agree with you. It's an elimination game at that point, and I mean the hard part is if you think about it, you win that one, you also have an elimination game again, and you're gonna
Yeah,
have to
but you got to
trust
win
Morton.
game
But you
4
got
to
to
get to
trust
game
Morton
5.
anyways. But you're gonna end up having to trust him anyway, so you might as well try now, and then you got your ace. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So there,
I
it's
mean, I
really
I get the
you got to trust your
argument.
offense.
I
You got to
do.
trust your offense, and they weren't able to pull through. They weren't.
Yeah. I don't know. I
Like
guess
in
at
two
home,
games.
I'm more comfortable like trying to piece together like a bullpen type thing at home than I am on the road, which is
Well,
why I would have gone with Freed.
I don't think it was a plan to make it like a bullpen type thing. I think the plan was to see if we can get Morton to go pretty deep, and then he takes a fucking liner off his elbow, very
Yeah.
similar to taking one off of his
It was a
shin
first inning,
last
wasn't
year.
it? First inning, second inning.
Either this, I think it was the second inning. Takes a liner off his throwing elbow, and then, I mean, obviously, even if that doesn't really do damage, you feel it, and as a pitcher, it's gonna affect you. I mean, there's no way around it. It's gonna do something. It's gonna take a little bit off of your pitches. It's gonna take a little bit off of your spin rate, and they were able to get to it. And I'm not trying to say that that was the reason that he ended up getting hit pretty good, because he got hit pretty good, but it definitely didn't help. So it's
It,
unfortunate. 22 seasons now without a repeat champ. So at least
yeah.
that's going for baseball. I kind of like that for baseball. So don't get me wrong. I wish the Braves would have been the one to end that. But
Yeah, the Astros will just have to do it next year.
nah, the Astros are gonna have to play a better Rangers team for quite a bit of the year. So
Yeah, sure. Sure, sure,
which
sure.
by the way though, depending on, well, I guess the Dodgers are up 2-0 right now, but between the Mets and Braves, both with 100 wins, both on the couch.
Yep.
So
It's
adds to
tough,
those
man.
stats. Yeah, because
Postseason's a different animal.
I saw a meme and it was like the Braves and Mets over there fighting basically, and the Phillies are over there just like recording it and like we're gonna be the ones that actually go further than y'all.
Yeah.
It's frustrating. That's baseball though, man. I mean, like I said, we could be so easily talking about how it's 2-1 Mariners right now. Like,
Yeah.
but that's baseball.
Yeah.
That's how
I
it
mean, if
goes.
once you start going back and doing the what if game, what if Justin Verlander doesn't have his worst game of the season, or you can't really play a what if game.
I'm just saying we were 2 innings away from it being 2-1 in that series. I mean, and that's just now the Braves Phillies, that one wasn't close. That
No, not
they
after game 1 was close, but and game 2 wasn't a blowout. The last 2 games were blowouts.
yeah. Yep. Well, next year. I know the good thing is the Braves have signed all their guys, all their main guys, all their
And they're
stars.
young.
They are young,
They're
and they
they're
had a
gonna
few
have
guys
another
step.
shot.
Yeah,
They're gonna
they
have
didn't
plenty of
play.
shots.
They didn't play bad baseball. They just got hit. They got hit.
I think there could be something to. I think there could be something to the whole. They had to fight for so long, every day being a postseason game, basically, up until the end of the season, and then they shut it down for 5 days, or they shut it down for almost a week, and then had to try and rev back up, and that's just such a hard thing. Like a team like the Astros, the Astros knew they were going to be in the playoffs. They knew they were going to have a bye, and they didn't have to fight, so they were able to kind of, play in a certain way to where whenever they shut it down, it wasn't as if they were shutting it down fully.
I guess. They still both had to shut it down for time.
I feel like
I
it's
get what you're
harder to
saying. It was
be.
more of a fight towards
I
the
feel
end
like
for the Braves.
I just feel like it'd be harder to be up here and then shut it down and then get right back up there again. Whereas the Astros are maybe like right here and they shut it down and they still needed to ramp up, but they didn't have kind of the come down that the Braves did.
True. I will also say that as it stands right now, I mean, well, obviously, but the Phillies definitely look like a better team than the Mariners. But
I don't know.
What it is.
It's tough to judge. It's definitely tough to judge. But anyway.
Yep.
You think we're going to get a game 5 in the NLDS Dodgers Padres tomorrow?
I think so.
I think we will too.
Yeah, the Dodgers are too good, man. They're going to force game 5, but then I really think it's anybody's game. I mean, the Padres, that lineup has really impressed me so far this postseason, and they don't seem to be cooling down.
Yeah.
I mean, and they could even get to him tonight. It could happen. I could see it.
Did you see the quote from an LA Times article that was posted today? I think it was, or maybe yesterday.
I don't think so.
So let me see if I can find it real quick. Here it is. So there's a quote from an LA Times opinion piece, and you tell me if this sounds really soft. If there ever was a case for canceling the playoffs and awarding a championship to one team because it was clearly better than all the others, the 2022 Los Angeles Dodgers would be it.
So I actually did see that, I think, on Twitter. Yeah, that's bad.
Soft.
That's bad.
Soft.
That is soft.
Especially because the one Dodgers title in the last 30 years came in the COVID season, which wasn't a full season.
Just because we got to put an asterisk on yours doesn't mean you got to put an asterisk on theirs.
I'm not putting an asterisk on it. I have no problem with that title. It's it's whatever. They made it through the playoffs. It's just if you're gonna start making an argument that it should be based on the full season and not the playoffs, and you're the season that you won is the season that it wasn't a full 162.
I mean, you're definitely right. But I will have to say the Dodgers were the best team in baseball this season during the regular season. But that doesn't matter when it comes to the playoffs.
over the course of 162 games, they were four games better than the second best team. Let's not pretend like they were 10 to 15 games better than the second best team. It's 4 games over 162.
Agreed, but when you also look at the difference between them and the second place team in their division, it was very impressive. They were the best team in baseball in the regular season this year.
They were,
and like you said, it's closer than it should have been. But they were. But obviously, postseason's a different animal. Every pitch matters. Every run matters. Every base runner matters.
Yep,
every
all 18
decision
innings
matters. So
all 18 innings
18 innings, 16 innings, whatever it takes, they get it done. So Braves didn't. Sadness.
Yeah. next year. They're still the best team in that division. They'll still be the best team in that division next year. They're a better team than the
Phillies look
Phillies,
good.
but
Phillies look
just
good. They're just
you
hot.
know, you get into
They're hitting really well.
you get into a short series and anything can happen.
Yeah, I almost even tweeted out that I think that even the division series should be 7 because that really helps decide who's the better team, in my opinion.
I could see the argument. I can see the argument.
But obviously, I'm going to say that with my team losing in a 5-game series. So
yeah.
But I really do think that would make it a little bit better.
You want to try and get into some cottage?
Yeah, I will say Utah tied the game up at 35, and USC got the ball back and had an 11-play, 90-yard drive to score. So now they are up by a touchdown again. I think it's like 4 or 5 minutes left in the game. So that one's actually looking pretty spicy. Yeah, 42-35, 6 minutes and 15 seconds left in the game. Utah's about to get the ball back.
Yeah, I've got that game on now too.
One going. And man, oh man.
So I have a question for you to start.
Okay.
With the college football. Finish your thought, but
I was just gonna say we'll try to go back to those early games like we talked about. But it's been a long time.
So I have kind of a general question, college football question for you, since we're roughly halfway through the season.
Okay.
If the season ended today, this was, season's over, who are you voting for Heisman? Is it Blake Corum? Is it Hendon Hooker?
I mean,
is it CJ Stroud?
If anybody's been listening to this at all, I think I would have to say that I'd go with Blake Corum because I've been kind of all on today. Yeah, and I've been all on him this whole time. That's what I think has made Michigan one of the top teams is their run game, and that's mostly just Blake Corum, and making catches too. So
yeah, Edwards had a really good game today too.
Yeah,
they both had 150 plus.
And Hendon Hooker 5 touchdown passes against the.
Yeah, dude, Hendon Hooker's good. He's really good.
You know, so no, it's tough, man. I'm gonna be honest. If it ended today, I wouldn't vote.
I think those 3 are definitely the top 3, at least for me. Corum, Stroud, Hooker. I think those 3 are the top 3. Now, Stroud, they haven't really been fully tested yet. Ohio State, I agree. I would say. Yep. Whereas Hendon Hooker, like Tennessee has played in some big games, some games against ranked opponents. Michigan hadn't really been tested that much until today when they finally played a good team. And they destroyed them. They absolutely obliterated Penn State. And as we have discussed on this podcast many times, I have been really high on Penn State. I'm a big believer in that football team.
Put money on the money line.
And they absolutely kicked Penn State's ass up and down the field for 4 quarters. Despite the score being close at halftime.
Oh, yeah. The only reason it was, they were even saying it on the broadcast. I guess we'll just go ahead and get into that one. They were even saying it, dude, that they had never, I was saying there's no way they'd never seen it. I kind of called him out a little bit, but they had never seen a game where it was so lopsided in the stats, but the game was so close.
It was pretty damn lopsided.
It was. I mean, that's definitely true. I mean, you get a pick 6.
A weird bounce on the pick 6 too.
Yes, that was weird.
For anybody that didn't see it, the pick 6, it was batted up in the air by one player on Penn State. It came down and hit the helmet of a second player on Penn State, bounced back up in the air and into the arms of the guy that actually intercepted it, and he ran it back for a touchdown.
It was crazy. It was a wild play. it kept them in the game. And
Yeah,
that came right after they were actually playing really good defense, and for some reason somebody forgot that Sean Clifford had the football, and
it
he
was a
ends up
great
busting
fake. It
yeah,
was a
it was a
great
great
fake.
fake, really good fake on an option, and he took it 62 yards, damn near scored, barely
Yep.
got tackled inside the 5. And then they score there, and then they get the pick 6, and so all of a sudden
Yeah, went from 13
14
nothing
to
to
14
14
13.
13. And Michigan had a little trouble in the red zone early in the game. They kicked 2 field goals, and they in the first half they
They
were in
held
the
them
red
to
zone.
3 red zone field
Yes,
goals.
they got into the red zone 4 times in the first half, scored 1 touchdown and 3 field goals.
Yeah, so Penn State's defense was trying to keep them in that game, and they
But
did
then they
to
just
the
wore
half.
down.
Oh
They
yeah,
that defense got so tired, and then I mean trying to
they've been a better
tackle
run
Blake
defense,
Corum,
but yeah, till Blake Corum shows up.
trying to tackle Blake Corum when you're tired just sounds awful.
Yeah,
Just
I
like
agree.
impossible.
Dude, that touchdown that he got where he basically carried dudes,
Mm-hmm.
like multiple.
That was the
And
first touchdown, wasn't it?
yeah. And I
Where he
mean,
was like
I will
almost down,
say
but he had his
he
leg was on
technically
the other
was, yeah,
guy's
he was
leg.
on a teammate's leg, so that kind of helped him stay up, but he was still driving his legs
Yeah,
with that many people on his back. And
it's
you know that
impressive.
dude's doing squats.
Yeah, he doesn't skip leg day.
Not at all.
He definitely does not skip leg day.
Yeah, so I've been very impressed by him, and that was a big, big win for Big Blue. I was nervous for them at halftime, even though, like you said, it was so lopsided. With it being so lopsided and Penn State still being in it, I was worried that they were going to take advantage of that. But then they, like
Yeah,
you said, their offense never really got going,
at
and
all.
their defense just got worn down.
Yeah, I mean
Worn down.
they did go down and kick a field goal early in the third quarter to take the lead, retake the lead at 17
Right.
to 16. But then after that, Michigan scored a touchdown and then poured it
2
on.
point conversion, I think, too,
Yeah,
to make it 7, and then they just didn't look back one
yeah,
time.
just ran away with it after that.
Yep. So
Like they
big,
just
big
couldn't
win for
tackle.
them.
They couldn't tackle Corum or Edwards in the second half, like at all. Like I think Corum had, like I think he and Edwards both had like 50+ yard touchdown runs where they
Yeah,
were like untouched
I think
for
you're right.
the vast majority of it,
Yep.
if not entirely. I think Edwards scored like a 50+ yard touchdown where he wasn't even touched.
They're competing for the best rushing attack in the nation right now.
They probably are the best rushing attack in the country.
Led by Corum, but like you said, Edwards. I mean, it's hard to argue against at this point.
Yeah, Donovan Edwards, 16 carries, 173 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Blake Corum, 28 carries, 166 yards, 2 touchdowns. He gets more of the tough carries, but they both had 60+ yard touchdown runs. It was a beatdown. It was an absolute beatdown. And, I was kind of questioning Michigan continuing to be the number 4 team. I'm not questioning that anymore.
Yeah,
It's not a
no,
question.
they look really good, man. That was a huge test for them, and they shined. They shined big time. So
now I can't wait for Michigan, Ohio State. I can't wait.
that's going to be big.
I want to see if
Michigan
Michigan can do what they did to Penn State and what they did to Ohio State last year. I want to see if they can do it again to Ohio State. If they can just cram it down their throat.
That's going to be huge
And dominate the line of
scrimmage.
So and Michigan's defense really stepped up today a lot. Like it's been
like
good.
You said, even the
first
half, even though the score was close, that defense was not letting Penn State do anything in the entire ball game.
So in the first half, Penn State had the ball for 6 minutes. The whole half. 6 minutes.
That's a good recipe for winning.
Like at one point, like after the pick 6, Penn State had more touchdowns than they had first downs at 2-1. Their only first down that they had, like deep into the second quarter, was that 60-something yard run from by Clifford. That was their only first down, like for a long stretch.
It was a big one, but ended up not being enough.
Yeah, like they could not move the ball. That the front seven for Michigan, whenever they decided to blitz, they were getting home, which was kind of a question that we had because they had, both of their ends from last year ended up being top picks in the draft. And could they replace that? Could they replace Aiden Hutchinson, who was, a top 3 pick in the NFL?
Right.
Could they replace Ojabi, I think was his name? I'm pronouncing
Something
that
like that.
if I'm at all pronouncing that correctly. Both of them were amazing for them last year, and Aiden Hutchinson basically took over the Ohio State game. I didn't know if they were going to be able to replace that, and they haven't replaced it to that same degree, but they're stepping up from everywhere else to where they still have
really everyone's getting
defense.
Involved. Yeah, everyone's getting. It's not just one guy that's taking care of business. It's like a team effort on their defense right now, and they're doing a good job. I mean, like you said, you've been pretty high on Penn State, and they've done a pretty good job up until this point, and they just shut them down. So
yeah,
very impressed by Michigan. That was nice. And like I said, Blake Corum, I mean, hey, might be on my Heisman watch right now. Well, obviously on my watch.
He's on the list. He's on the list at this point. Couple other early games. We don't really need to get into these too much. Kansas being good was fun while it lasted.
Yeah, without their quarterback, it sucks. Jalen Daniels, right?
Jalen Daniels, yeah.
Yeah, without him,
the backup is Jason Bean.
Yeah, a lot of people like Jason Bean. I've seen some good stuff from him, but he is a step down from Jalen Daniels, in my opinion. So that's what I think is a kind of their problem. Now, I will say one thing from that game. OU, I don't remember the D-back because they all had Unity on the back of their jerseys.
Yeah,
which was weird. If there's a cool story behind it or something, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be.
I think it's probably just hey guys, we've lost 3 games in a row. Like we got to get together on this kind of thing. So we're all going to wear Unity on the back of our jerseys. Which
whatever works, it worked.
I know as a Longhorns fan, I'm not going to like any Sooner jersey, but I hated those jerseys.
I wasn't too against them.
I hate those jerseys.
But anyways, I don't remember the DB that made the play, but I saw one of the best interceptions that you'll probably see all year, where he jumps up, basically tips it to himself. It damn near hits the ground. He barely gets his hand underneath it and taps it back to himself again, and caught it. And it was a hell of a play.
CJ
Colden, shouts out, dude. That was badass. Like I said, I think that one might go down as one of the best picks of the year.
Yeah, you didn't like fully set the scene for people that are listening, but he leaps up in the air, gets it at its highest point, 9.5 feet in the air, probably falls
Something
down
like that.
on
He
his
was up
back,
there.
Falls down on his back, and the ball kind of lands to his right and hits his hand, and he pops up and he holds on to it.
Yeah, I'll get on the Twitter and retweet it, because even like you did a better job than me, but it's still not. You got to see it.
Yeah, it's one of those you have to watch it.
Yeah, it's insane. He, like you said, he high points that ball, and it's a thing of beauty. So go check that out. Not too much else from that. I mean, the first Kansas touchdown was pretty badass. It was like a juggling touchdown as he was going over the goal line,
getting hit between 2 guys too at the same time.
Right. So that was very impressive.
Like he kind of caught it over his left, or started to catch it over his left shoulder, gets hit, and the ball pops out over towards his right shoulder, and then he catches it again and falls into the end zone as he's getting hit for the second time.
It was badass. That's another one where you got to check it out. I'll definitely try and get on there and retweet that one as well. It was pretty dope. But that was really about it for Kansas. It ended up being a close game. However, it was mostly OU in that one, so they ended up taking that out. Texas in the early window ends up beating Iowa State. It was
Yeah, it was
closer
a
than most people would.
frustrating game. Very frustrating game. The offense didn't look that good. The defense didn't look that good. Iowa State does not have a good offense. They were able to move the ball. But I will say, so Iowa State is kind of like a Big Ten team playing in the Big 12 where they're like an Iowa or somebody like that, that when you play them, even if you're good, even if your offense is high flying, they will drag you down into the mud with them. And you end up
Yep.
playing an Iowa State game, not a Texas or an Oklahoma or a Kansas State game.
Yep. Well, dude, it was honestly really close to being a 14-0 game because they were up 7-0 already on Texas, and they were about to score.
Interception in the
And
end zone, though.
interception in the end zone, and then Texas scores 14 unanswered. And then, I mean, it went back and forth a little bit for a while there, but Texas obviously ended up being able to pull that one out.
Yeah.
Quinn Ewers looked good. He did have a little bit of a brain fart on one play where
dude,
he tried to throw it at his running back's feet, but it was backwards, so it was a
livid when he
live
did
ball.
that.
Yeah,
He's
it was hard to
looking
tell
right
at
at him.
first. True, it was. I'll be honest. At first, it was kind of hard to tell if he was throwing backwards or not. But then, as soon as I saw the replay, I was like, "Yep, that's a backwards pass." So at least
Luckily,
he
he
did have
recovered it.
right. He was able to at least realize that he had fucked up and dive on the ball, so it didn't end up being too bad. Oh my goodness. So Utah scored to tie it. However, they decided to go for two and they just got it. 43-42 Utah
You're ahead
over
of me
USC
again.
with 48 seconds left. I'm sorry.
You're ahead of me again. Let's see the play. Do a play-by-play. Drop back, runs forward, rising end zone, touch or 2-point conversion.
Play-by-play by Doyce.
Awful play-by-play by Doyce, but it's all right.
It's okay. We're not broadcasters. We're also not professionals.
No, in no way whatsoever. We're tryhards. That's what we are.
Yep, there you go. So that was basically it for the early games. There weren't too many other.
Yeah, I mean,
Auburn, Ole Miss.
Ole Miss won by 2 touchdowns. They were up big, and then they kind of took the foot off the gas, and Auburn kind of came back a little bit, and then they put their foot on their throat again and said,
"I did really like their America
Auburn
theme.
You're going to lose."
Yeah, I did like their America theme. They had like America theme in their helmet and like their end zones and stuff. That was cool. Which I meant to actually say too when we were talking about Kansas. What was up with that Jayhawk on their helmet? It looked like their Jayhawk did crack. Like, I don't understand. Like the unis looked good and everything looked good about them, but the Jayhawk just looked. It was like a zoomed in version. It was weird. That was weird.
Yeah, I think they're just trying to do something different.
I guess, yeah. So the middle window of games was pretty bonkers.
Yeah. Which game do you want to do first? TCU, Oklahoma State, or Alabama, Tennessee?
Let's do TCU, Oklahoma State first.
Okay. So this was kind of again, I was watching the Astros while this game was going on, so it was kind of on my third TV, so I didn't get to watch it super closely, other than just like glancing over and kind of seeing the scores move and like watch a play or two, because it was also at the same time as the Tennessee Alabama game.
Right. Which I had Tennessee Alabama on the main one, and then I also had this one on over to the side, and then I also had baseball on. So yeah, I didn't necessarily like completely watch this one.
Weren't keyed in on it.
Right, same thing. However, I definitely was checking it out. It was funny because I had one of my buddies from the baseball team, Dalton. He came and watched some playoff baseball with me earlier this weekend. He was wearing he went to TCU, so he was wearing his TCU jersey, and it was actually the one with the red that they were wearing today. And I was like, dude, I've never actually seen that. And he's like, yeah, they've only worn it a couple times, which funny enough, they end up wearing it this weekend. But do you know why they have the red on there like that?
No.
So I was like, dude, I don't really get it. He's like, because when Horned Frogs as a defense mechanism, when they get like cornered or something, they shoot blood out of their eyes.
Mm.
And so that's like how they incorporated that, and I was like, dude, that's actually pretty badass.
Yeah, that is cool.
And it
I
looks
still
pretty
like the purple.
sweet.
I still like the purple and black better, but
I'm with you there. With the black with the silver logo on the helmets with the purple face. Yeah, those are super clean because this one had a red TCU and a horned frog on the side of the helmets, which I still think it looked pretty good, but I'm with you on
yeah,
the other ones looking better.
yeah, like it looked fine. It just doesn't necessarily look like TCU because it's not
Right.
purple.
Throws you off just a little
Like
bit.
some teams are just so synonymous with certain colors that like they should always have those colors.
I
And
agree.
TCU's like that with purple, like because there's not a lot of purple, not a lot of teams with purple. You have like Kansas State and
Right, and I think Tennessee's one of those,
LSU.
and where they like I liked their smoky grays. We talked about that, but today when they were just in their orange and white, I was
Yeah,
like, okay,
creamsicle orange.
that's Tennessee.
Right.
Yep. So,
It.
which we'll get into that too.
Yeah.
But dude, this Oklahoma State TCU game was crazy. I mean, I honestly felt like TCU was basically losing the entire game. They
Right. They
end up
were.
tying, and they end up tying it late, and then going into overtime and getting it done. Like,
Yeah. I mean, it was 14-7 after the first quarter. It was 26-13 after the second quarter. It was 32-19, right? 30 to I don't know. I can't do math right now. My brain is completely fried after today.
I do not blame you. It has been a long
They were
day.
down 14 going into the fourth quarter because they scored 14 points in the fourth quarter and they went to overtime. So I can do that math.
There you go.
That's not really math.
No, that's not. But no, so Max Duggan. That's yeah. See, I'm always like, am I saying that right?
30-16. That's what the score was.
Nice.
Going
there
into
you
the
go.
fourth quarter.
We figured it out. Max Duggan ended up playing pretty good. He got knocked around a little bit back there a few times. Towards the end of the game, you could really tell that he was tired. Like they tried to do a QB sneak with him trying to get into the goal line.
Just didn't have it.
He just did not have it. He was exhausted at that point, but he had put it all on the line, and they end up winning 43-40 in overtime. They both score first. Then TCU holds Oklahoma. First of all, TCU got Oklahoma State to a 4th and goal, and they were able to score. And then TCU holds Oklahoma State to a field goal, right? And then they go down and score a touchdown.
Yeah.
So, and the touchdown seemed pretty easy when they got down there. So
sometimes when you get to overtime in one of these like track meet kind of games, the defenses are so tired that like they just don't have anything left.
Yep. Oops, I forgot about that guy. It happens from time to time. But I will say, dude, we talked about it last week. Those receivers for TCU, those are some big playmakers that go up there and get the ball no matter who's guarding them. Johnston, 8 catches for 180 yards and a touchdown, balling out. And there was a play late
where that's after last week he had 14 catches for 200 plus yards and a touchdown against Kansas.
I mean, if TCU keeps winning like this, we might start talking Heisman with some receiver over there. That's nuts, dude. That's pretty nuts.
Yeah. No, it's him good.
Oh, I agree. We do have to give Oklahoma State some credit. They played really well too. Like we said, they were basically leading the entire ball game until TCU tied it up late to force overtime. Sanders playing his ass off. Passing wise, not a great completion percentage, 16-36 for 245 yards and a touchdown, but he also rushed for 11 carries, 68 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So he was putting everything on his back. Distributed the ball really well, honestly, as well with those 16 passes. But man, TCU fought, and I promise you, 7th Street in Fort Worth right now is going crazy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Probably
It's
not quite as bad as Knoxville, but
no. Knoxville is going to be wild for the next 3 months.
yep. So down goes Bama.
Down
Down,
goes Alabama.
down goes Alabama. Dude, and with emphatic fashion.
I mean,
That was a crazy
this
game.
game, like it's the whole thing is such a blur to me that
So
you talked about Max Duggan kind of getting knocked around. Bryce Young got knocked around in this
he really
game.
did. Yep.
Oh
Tennessee was
my
bringing it.
God, the number of
They were
hits
bringing it.
that he was taking. Some of the hits that he took in this game were
Dude,
just
that
like,
outside linebacker blitz
whoa,
was getting home a lot.
yeah. And they were getting there
And
right as he's throwing the ball, and like not just tackling, not just pushing, but like just blasting Bryce
yeah, a
Young.
couple times where I was like, borderline roughing the passer nowadays, but
Yeah.
luckily they didn't call it because that's
The
football. I'm
the
glad they
NFL
did
would
it.
have thrown so many flags, roughing the passer flags on Tennessee in this game.
So to go back to the beginning, I know you said you're having a hard time trying to. It is foggy, but to go back to the beginning, I'm glad I wrote this down. Alabama had not allowed a first quarter touchdown in 13 games, and Tennessee
They
scored
did
3.
today.
Yeah, they definitely did today. Tennessee went up 21-7 in the first quarter, and man, it took a little while for Bama to come back. Um, there was a what really even helped keep Bama in the game. They were down, and they're driving late in the third quarter, and they call pass interference in the end zone on Tennessee.
Yeah. One of the
So
worst pass interference
you
calls I've ever
go,
seen.
yeah, you go back and look, and the Alabama receiver totally yanked the jersey of the defensive back
Pulled him
and
down, like tackled
pulled
him, one
him
arm
to the
tackled him.
ground. Yeah, and you can see the cornerback has both hands free. Like he wasn't doing any of
Yeah.
that. And
Like
it was
an
so
offensive pass
obvious.
interference was called for defensive pass interference.
Yeah. It and honestly, it was offensive pass interference. Yeah, like you said,
Absolutely,
because they
100%.
had a chance to get the interception on that.
Mm-hmm.
So they end up getting
And that
away with
was
it and going down
after.
and scoring.
So I do remember that because that was after. So Alabama had gotten into the 10, inside the 10. It was first and goal at like the 6 or something, and they had penaltied and negative played their way out to the 13 or 16 or something like that, where it was fourth down
Most
and goal
penalties
from
in Saban
long.
era,
Oh yeah, 17, I think it was.
something like that. Yep.
But they had gotten themselves in a situation where it was fourth down and goal from outside the 10, like the 13, 15, 16, something like that. And then that's whenever they threw it into the end zone and got the
Pass interference
the
call.
quote unquote pass interference
Yeah,
that
it was
bailed them
bad.
out.
It bailed them out and it kept them in the game. Now it's still the third quarter at that point, so who knows what ends up happening. However, that was a key moment. I felt like that was huge
And then
for Bama.
the next Tennessee drive, they mess up an exchange between Hendon Hooker and the running back, and Alabama gets a scoop and score. And now all of a sudden, instead of it goes from 42 to, it would have been 42-38 if they kicked the field goal there before the pass interference. So it goes from 42 to 38, 35/38 to now Alabama's up 49-42.
Yeah, within a blink of an eye. And I saw people tweeting that same guy, or no, that was the Mets game. See, or Mets. See, the Mets
Everything's
weren't even
jumbled.
playing. I'm just going crazy.
And Jared
Somebody
Carrabis is
was
a Red
tweeting
Sox
though
fan.
at Tennessee. They said like the crowd went silent after that scoop and score. Like,
Yeah.
holy
Well,
shit,
because
is this really about to happen?
they were up 28 to nothing. And so from that point until and then after the scoop and score, Alabama had outscored Tennessee 39, right? 39
Wait,
to
it was
14.
28-0.
28-10. Sorry.
Okay, I was about to say I didn't remember.
It was 28-10. So they had outscored Tennessee 39 to 14 since like midway through the second quarter. It was kind of like it kind of felt like if Alabama ever got the lead, the game was over.
And at that point, it was looking rough. But they were able to go down and score and force over. Or
like
see,
in some ways, it's very similar to Texas A&M beating Alabama last year. You know, getting out to a big lead. The difference being that Tennessee is a good team.
Yeah, I mean you're right.
That's the difference. Right. That's the difference. But it's like that game last year that A&M beat Alabama, where they got out to a big lead. Bama comes storming back, and you're like, okay, this is it. Bama's going to win the game. They're going to escape. And then the other team, the home team, feeds off the crowd a little bit, manages to get themselves back into a winning position. So, like after the scoop and score, Tennessee goes on an 11-play, 75-yard drive to go down and tie it.
Clutch.
Which is absolutely huge.
Super clutch.
To be able to do that. Mm-hmm. And the receiver that caught it, I'm trying to remember his name. Jalen Hyatt.
Oh, dude.
Had an incredible game.
Dude, yes, he did.
6 catches, 200 yards, 207 yards, and 5.
Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5
touchdowns.
Receiving touchdowns. Dude, that's insane. That is, you were 5 for 6 of your catches were touchdowns. You only had one catch that wasn't
right. And he had 200 yards too. Like
I know
there was the one. When did that happen in the game? The 78-yard touchdown.
I don't remember at this point.
That was okay. So that was after Alabama had taken the 35-34 lead, and then Hooker passed
that
it
was
to
the 78-yard one
for the 78-yard to the house, and then they got the 2-point conversion.
That's right. I did see a picture of Hyatt smoking a cigar with Peyton Manning afterwards.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Clutch. That's pretty dope.
Awesome. Which Peyton was really good on game day today. I don't know if you watched.
Dude, I love Peyton Manning. He's always been one of my favorites. I mean, I never had anything against the Colts back in the day, and even when he was on the Broncos, I mean, other than that crazy 52-40 or 51-48 Broncos Cowboys game, I always liked Peyton Manning. So yeah, no, he's been doing great on that stuff. I enjoyed it as well.
Yeah,
especially with Pat McAfee. That shit was dope. It was fun.
Yeah, no, it was a good game day. It was fun.
Yep.
So then it's 49-49. Alabama's getting the ball. Bryce Young is getting the ball. The Heisman about to go down and have another Heisman moment.
Wasn't looking good for Tennessee.
Alabama's going to salt the game away, kick a field goal at the end to win it.
Wide right.
They stall out on, what was it, like the 35 on Tennessee's 35, something like that.
Something 32. Like that. It made it
Tennessee's
like
32.
What was it, like a 40?
So they had 1st and 10 at Tennessee's 32-yard line with 34 seconds to go. Like the game's over at this point. It's over. Well, it's either over or it's going to overtime. Because all they got to do is either complete a couple of passes, do a couple of running plays, get a few extra yards, make it an easier field goal. But they didn't. They threw 3 consecutive incomplete passes. And so they had to kick from the 32.
No bueno.
And then, as you say, wide right.
Wide right.
And Another Alabama kicker.
Yikes.
Why couldn't he have done that in week 2 against Texas?
Because, Doyce, life is not fair for you.
Yeah, he did it against the wrong UT.
Well, then Tennessee gets the ball back, obviously, right there.
15 seconds. 15 seconds. That's how much time they had.
Yeah, the launch a pass. Was that? Don't tell me that was Hyatt's only other catch that wasn't a touchdown, was to set up the game-winning field goal.
No, he didn't have a catch on that drive.
Okay.
It was Keaton for 18 yards. That took 6 seconds. Tennessee timeout. That gets them from the 32.
Still having their timeouts, by the way.
Yeah, they still had 2 timeouts, which is massive. Not taking a timeout to ice Alabama's kicker, that was a good call.
Even bigger. Yeah,
that was a really good call because they needed both of those timeouts in order for this to happen. They had to have both of them. So that gets them to the 50 with 9 seconds to go. Hendon Hooker drops back, takes a little more time in the pocket than you probably would want, throws the ball over the middle, and a great catch from Brew McCoy. Like, it was a really good catch. It was a great throw, a really good catch in traffic.
With 2 seconds left, he
falls down with 2 seconds. The clock kept running, so it ended up showing zeros, but they correctly put 2 seconds back on the clock.
They got the timeout off in time,
and that puts them at the 23. And then that sets up a 40-yard field goal for Chase McGrath. Do you want to describe the field goal?
So it's the greatest knuckleball in college football history. This football, so when you think of it kicking a field goal, that ball's twirling top over end, looking pretty. No, this ball floated turning sideways the entire time like a knuckleball.
Yep.
And the way that it was able to keep going straight honestly defies physics and is beyond me. And obviously the college football gods wanted Alabama to lose because that was the ugliest game-winning field goal I think anyone's ever made. However, he made it. Down goes Bama. Down goes the goalposts.
Like,
which
you know what it
has been a
looked
fun
like.
Follow on Twitter.
You know what it looked like. It looked like if you held a football backwards. So instead of holding the back end of it when you're throwing it, you held the front end of it, but then you also threw it that way. Instead of throwing it like to where you're going to do a spiral, you just kind of like shock put it.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like. It looked like somebody was grabbing the football from the wrong direction and shock putting it.
I thought somehow maybe it was tipped or something. And then
it didn't look like
it was tipped. No, it didn't.
It didn't
just
look
looked
like
he kicked it funny and it just was spinning weird and somehow stayed straight and stayed in between those uprights and now the uprights are gone.
Yeah.
They're in the river. They went through the city of Knoxville to the bars and then into the river. Dude, one thing I did forget to mention though, on that play where Alabama did get the pass interference call in the end zone, I will have to say credit to Bryce Young because he made a circus play on that, literally avoiding like 3 or 4 different sacks. And even being able to keep that play alive, to even throw a ball into the end zone to try and get a pass interference call was actually very impressive. And so I do have to give him a little bit of props on that because, like you said, he was getting beat up the entire game as well, just like Max Duggan. And he was able to do that at the end like that, which magician. He looked like a magician right there. Like, it was insane.
Yeah. He's one of the absolute best at just kind of making shit happen,
elusive, like broken play,
but like not with the intention of running. You know, like a Donovan, like a Donovan McNabb. You know, McNabb wasn't really running to try and run; he was running to kind of get shit open.
Well, I mean, some people might hate me for saying it, but Romo. Tony was
Yeah.
a magician back there in the pocket, but he was always keeping his head downfield because he knew he wasn't going to do it on his legs. He was still trying to make it happen through the air. The difference between Bryce Young can actually do it on his legs if he has to. So
He can.
he's still exciting to watch, and dude, that was really impressive for him to even. That was a shitty call. He did get bailed out by that, but if it wasn't for him even avoiding multiple sack opportunities, then they wouldn't even been in a chance to get that. So
Right.
a little bit of props to him. But
I mean, he played a pretty good game for for how much he was getting beat up and coming off of injury, and with the shoulder. We don't know if it was if he was 100% or if he's more like 80% or something, but I'm sure it wasn't feeling great,
right,
even still. And he balled out and he almost won the game.
Yep. But he didn't. Rocky Top. And then they were playing Dixieland Delight as the field was getting stormed. That's great.
I
Dude,
love
it was
the
a great
pettiness.
scene. Yeah, I do too.
This is another one of those reasons why I love college football more than the NFL, is that you don't get shit like this in the NFL. You don't get the pettiness, not to this degree.
First time Tennessee's beat Saban.
Yep.
They had not. It was 15-0. Saban
was the
Tennessee.
last time that they had beaten Alabama.
And this was the most points Alabama has allowed since 1907.
Yeah, to like, what was it, Swanee or something like that?
Some weird school that beat them 54-0.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to me too. But yeah, I mean, if you're gonna take down Bama, I mean, it bars the question: is the reign over? Is the reign over? Because they lose to A&M bad last year. Win the SEC title game against Georgia, but it was at a time where Georgia was kind of cool with losing it because they knew they were still going to be in the playoffs. And then they lose to Georgia in the Natty, and then now they lose to Tennessee when they hadn't lost to Tennessee since 06.
So it's not over. The SEC is a really tough league. I mean, it's not an easy thing to go play at Neyland Stadium or at Kyle Field or earlier this season at DK Royal. Like, these are not easy places to play.
I mean,
and going on the road in front of 100,000 people, that's the difference. So I don't think the reign is over. I think that they're still ultra talented. Nick Saban's, he hasn't forgotten how to coach. For some reason, the latest crop of Alabama players that are on this current team, like, they struggle on the road. They struggled last year on the road a couple of different times. They've struggled on the road when they've played on the road this year. So I don't think they're not as dominant, but I mean, it was just 2 years ago that Alabama was like the most unstoppable force that you could even imagine.
I know, but
the Mac Jones, Devontae Smith.
I just feel like we're getting further away from the whole, like, yeah, Alabama's definitely going to win kind of thought. Because I think like that for like 10 years, man. It was like,
I think there's just more teams now that have the ability to play with them.
I agree. That's a good way to put it.
I think that other teams are catching up, but Alabama is still the gold standard. I mean, outside of Georgia, and Georgia's only done it for a couple of years.
Agreed. I'm not trying to say that anybody
Ohio State or some of these other teams, they've just kind of caught up.
I don't think there is the dominant powerhouse right now. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to say that Georgia's dethroned or nothing like that.
Right.
I just feel like it's way more open than it has been in a long time.
Yeah, I think this year is the most open, I feel like. I think that
in like 10 years, right?
I kind of felt before like it was Georgia, Alabama, and Ohio State, and then there was a gap, and then it was maybe Michigan and Penn State and
Clemson,
and then there was another gap, and then you got to the Oklahoma States and the everybody else.
OU. I guess OU might
You
be
know
on the
who?
second gap.
Everybody knows who we're talking about.
Right.
I wonder now if, because I still think Alabama's in the top tier. Even this Alabama team, I think they're still in that top tier. But I think you add Tennessee into that top tier, and I think you add Michigan into that top tier. And so I think those 5 are probably your 5 best teams.
Yeah.
Maybe Ole Miss. Ole Miss is going to have their crack at Bama too. And Ole Miss is really good. Now that we've seen them play some real competition a couple of weeks in a row now, like that team is really good too. They're not on that level, I don't think, but they're going to have their shot at Bama, and we'll see.
I'm excited for a couple weeks from now when
Tennessee Georgia
comes to Athens.
That's going to be fun. If anybody can score on that Georgia defense, it's Tennessee.
It's going to be tough. Oof, man.
And the way that Tennessee was beating up Bryce Young today, Georgia may have difficulty scoring on Tennessee.
We'll see. I mean, you could be right, because that has been a little bit of their problem, has been offense. So we'll see. It's going to be a fun one though. So I'm going to be honest with you. I'm pretty exhausted. Let's
Same here.
Try and roll through some of these last few just to mention them. Kentucky ends up beating Mississippi State 27-17, so that's a pretty big win for Kentucky. So that helps. That should
Syracuse remains undefeated against NC State. NC State did lose their quarterback. He's done for the year. Arkansas got back on that horse with KJ Jefferson back today.
Georgia took care of business, 55-0 against Vanderbilt. I just got to at least throw it out there.
Utah did pull the upset on USC, so that's another undefeated team. Yep. So that's another undefeated team going down.
Yep, which is crazy too, because they looked like they were winning that game for majority of it as well.
UCLA now the last unbeaten team in the Pac-12. Let's finish with that just real quick. I just want to go through the teams that are still undefeated.
Okay.
So in the ACC, you've got Clemson, Syracuse. In the Big 12, it is the local boys, TCU, that are the only undefeated team.
Frogs.
In the Big 10, it's now just Michigan and Ohio State.
Ooh, can't wait.
That's going to be a fun game at the end of the year. Pac-12 is just UCLA, as we said. And then in the SEC, we've got Georgia, Tennessee, Ole Miss. So we're down to, and we lost a couple of teams. We lost a couple of unbeaten Group of 5 teams this week. Coastal Carolina and James Madison lost. So that was their first loss each. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We've got 9 undefeated teams left. We came into the week with 15, so 6 have gone down.
That's a lot. And that's honestly what all you 2-loss teams out there are hoping for.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah. I mean, we had 3 undefeated matchups this week. So we were guaranteed to lose 3. And then we lost the 2 Group of 5 teams. And then now USC. That's where your 6 comes from.
That does make it fun, man. One thing I do want to mention that I forgot to, man, Bijan. Bijan's an animal. He's making wide receiver catches out there too.
I know.
And Quinn Ewers made some really pretty passes today.
Yeah, he's got a lot of talent. He didn't have his best game today, but Iowa State does do that to you. Like I said, they drag you down into the mud and start slinging mud around in your face, and it just gets annoying.
Yeah, I didn't want to get you too much on the Longhorns again. I just wanted to mention Bijan.
Yeah, they
just kidding.
I mean, they won, so
yeah.
So today, like just real quick. Fulham played at 9, and then the Longhorns played at 11, and then the Astros played at 3 and didn't finish until 9:30 or whatever.
Are they done? Did they finish that
yet? Barely. So I literally from 9 a.m. until 12 or until I'm so tired until 9:30. One of my teams was playing the whole time.
Yeah, that's tough.
12
Because
straight hours.
Georgia and the Braves, I didn't really have to even keep up with Georgia. I'll be honest. I didn't really put that one on very much. I
what
put
was
on
it,
a
like
little bit just to see my team. Yeah, 55.
55.
So
sorry,
yeah,
I didn't mean to shortchange you.
So I didn't really watch that one. But then them and the Braves were both about the same time. So I didn't have to worry about it too much. So
yeah.
Man, yeah, I can't imagine 9-9 worried.
Oh, I did have a beard. I did have a beard of the week candidate.
Please don't tell me. I think I know who you're gonna say.
Do you?
Maybe. Go ahead anyway.
So on Tuesday.
Okay, never mind.
It was kind of cloudy. There was some threat of rain, but it just never really came around until at about 6:30. The clouds really rolled in and it got real dark. And then Thordon stepped to the plate and delivered a shot, brought the Thunder down into Minute Maid Park.
Yeah, I mean,
he hit a walk-off in game 1. And then 2 days later, he hits the go-ahead home run in game 6.
Okay, it's not
Yordan Alvarez.
Yeah, Yordan, that's a good one. The one I was hoping you weren't going to say was Brandon Marsh hit the go-ahead home run for the Phillies today. Yeah. That ended up being basically the game-winning hit.
Yeah.
And he does have a gnarly beard. I've already talked about it a couple of times.
He does. He's got
Yordan.
like the gnarliest of beards.
Yep. I think that is not Yorgon's first beard of the week with us.
It's not. It's his second.
So congrats.
Because he had one when he had the 3 home run game.
Yeah, you get a free parking spot in front of Dorsey's.
Anytime.
Hell yeah. Oh man. So now it seems like the only thing we really got going. We got a 2-0 Dodgers Padres game, and they just turned. Oh no, he's safe at first. 2-0. Yep. Dodgers are up to bat in the 6th inning.
Yeah, that's basically the only thing that's left. College football's weirdly, well, I guess it's 11:30, but normally there's at least one more game going on, but I don't think there's even a game going on now at all, really.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if you want to watch Air Force and UNLV.
No thanks.
Or San Jose State and Fresno State, 2 non-state states. All right. I think that's going to do it for us. We're going to try and get some rest. And
Rocky Top.
Try and recover from today.
Yep. And get ready for tomorrow. Gear up and watch football all day again, but
with some baseball mixed in.
Yep.
Stress-free baseball this time.
Oh, I do have to throw out there, Stars are 2-0 now. Looks like they're going to basically outscore their opponents by at least 3 goals every game. So
hockey.
Let's go Stars. Yeah. Basketball soon too. Man, it's crazy. We're getting crazy.
Yep. All right. Well, everybody have a good couple of days. You'll hear from us again on Tuesday.
Beards out.
Beards out.